What if fixing your shin splints was the key to qualifying for the Ironman World Championships? Welcome to The Road Back, a series where we share real stories of athletes overcoming injury and getting back to peak performance. I'm Ben Lindsay, one of the inventors of the Solushin, a medical device designed to help athletes recover from shin splints faster and get back to running pain-free. Today, we're diving into Mark's journey, his struggles, his breakthrough, and how Solushin helped him return stronger than ever. Let's get into it. So Mark, thanks for being on the very first episode of this series. Maybe to kick us off, we'd love to hear a bit more about yourself.
Sure, it's a pleasure to be on here. Again, my name is Mark, and I've been an endurance athlete pretty much all my life. And mainly I've been a runner. And over time, as you get older, you pick up various injuries and you end up cross-training more and more. And like many people, that's kind of been my entry ramp onto triathlon. And I've been doing triathlon now for about 12 years. And I've done everything from the sprints to the full Ironman, even the one in Hawaii.
Now, you say sprints, but everyone who looks at the Ironmans and triathlons, sprints rather, may contest, particularly when you've got 100-meter runners, running under 10 seconds. So, what kind of made you start or pick endurance? Do you kind of remember when this all kicked off for you?
Yeah, I just remember kind of running as a relatively young person in junior high, even, and probably the first bit of success that I had that I thought, well, maybe I do have some endurance interest is I ran a half marathon when I was I think I was in 8th grade, so something like 14 years old or something like that, and I did pretty well, and that I really kind of caught the bug there.
Yep.
And over time, I've had different levels of connection to running, but always some, whether it's just a casual runner or a performance runner, I've had all sorts of different connections with the sport.
When did you first start experiencing shin splints? Was it something you got at a younger age, or was it something which you got more recently?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people think shin splints are something that are just for runners that are new. And as I mentioned, I've been running all my life, and I got them pretty recently, say in the last 5 or 10 years. And as I say, a lot of people think it's just for new young runners, but reality, it can affect anyone.
Was there a period of time before you got the shin splints where you were injury free for quite some time, and then they appeared out of nowhere, or was it from an increased bit of load or something similar? What do you think caused the shin splints?
Yeah, I mean, in the last 12 or so years, I've been more of a performance focused runner. And I think whenever you're a performance focused person, you're trying to bump up the edge of what you can do. And invariably you kind of cross the line and you just do too much, either too much mileage or too much intensity. And you end up with some kind of a injury. And and I've had all sorts of those kinds of challenges, and
Yeah.
I've had one particular case, actually more than one particular case that have affected my shins.
You had a spike in load, what was the pain like? So did it start off as a small niggle that just got worse? Walk us through the pain you experienced and then how it impacted your training schedule.
Yeah, I think what I've learned over time is, as a runner, you have to listen to all kinds of pain, and sometimes you don't want to do that. And this has probably been one of the hardest things I've had to learn, because I find myself quite determined, and I put together a schedule or something, and you want to do that schedule, and you want to go through that whole training program to be able to do your best. And what I find is that the more I listen to my body, the more, and I make adjustments to that schedule, the better. And with shin splints, I think what it is really quite a subtle pain that showed up for me, kind of on my right tibia, and that is something that maybe I should have paid more attention to in the beginning. And eventually, you know, if you don't pay attention in the beginning, the little niggle will make you pay attention as time goes.
That's a good way to put it. What effect did it have on your training?
Yeah, I think a lot of times what I would try to do is I would try to do a couple quality runs per week. And a quality run, I would define it either as a speed session of some kind where you're above zone two, or a quality run can also be a very long run. And right away, I could see that, okay, I have to make some adjustments and I'm starting to lose these quality runs. I'm starting to stop the speed work. I'm starting to having to stop the long runs. And ultimately you're just trying to keep training of some kind, even just easy running. And oftentimes it's just kind of an every other day kind of thing to just give your body a chance to kind of catch up and recover.
Now, you obviously had goals that you were striving, like looking to achieve. So when you have to, reduce the amount of quality runs you're able to do, at the time, how did that make you feel as an athlete, knowing that you weren't able to train at your best?
Terrible. It really can affect you a lot. And I found it kind of affecting not just my running, but just kind of just day to day how I kind of felt. Like I had the schedule, and then suddenly I had to not be on the schedule, and there was a lot of uncertainty, so
Yep.
when will I come back to this schedule? And I think, as I say, I think it's very hard to deal with. And I think um, sometimes there's a lot of runners that maybe they aren't as motivated, and and but I think when you get to a point where you're highly motivated, but also being able to listen to your body, those two things can come. They can really be counterbalances that are really difficult to really have that balance. And I think for me, like especially early on, I too much wanted to look at the schedule and not listen to my body.
So when you eventually hit that threshold of, okay, I've got to listen to my body and not just look at the schedule, and you started to look for treatment options, what were the first treatment options you looked for when treating your shin splints? What did you try? What worked? What didn't?
Yeah, I mean, you start, as I say, rest is the thing you start with. You got to reduce the load. You do icing, stretching, rolling, uh, go to PT,
Yep.
and you try to get all sorts of help that way. Um, and I mean, I think those are the typical things that I would go to, and I think what most people would go to
Yep.
when you have an injury like shin splints.
Now, I just want to clarify before I ask my next question, because I'm in Australia and you're in the US. PT in the US, does that mean physical therapist
Physical
rather than
therapy, sorry.
yeah?
I think you say
Is it?
physio. I think you call it
We
physio
do
there, right?
physiotherapists, but our PTs are personal trainers, so they help
Okay.
you get big in the
Okay.
gym. So you tried all these things. Walk through that process. Did you notice pain relief? Did you notice any benefits? What made that treatment not enough?
Well, I think what made it not enough is that I wasn't able to, I'm not kind of getting back to my schedule.
Yeah,
And like I say, my memory was a lot of kind of every other day, easy zone two running of just
yeah,
a few miles here and there. And and you have this date where you have this race coming, and that date isn't going to move. So
yeah.
like that's what kind of brings the stress on your in terms of like how am I going to be able to do this if I can't run.
We know rest and reload and all these things work, but when you have that goal or you have that race and it's creeping up on you and you're still feeling the pain, what are you meant to do? How do you recover quicker? How do you manage the pain in the short term if you just need to get through the final steps? It's a real big challenge. So what made you try the solution?
So I actually heard it on a podcast,
Lovely.
and I heard it on, I believe it's called the Run Smarter podcast,
Yep. Yep. Run Smarter
if I'm not
series. Yep.
mistaken. And it's a podcast out of Australia. I believe the gentleman who runs it is a physio, if I'm
Yes.
not
Yep.
mistaken. And I believe you were on there, and you were doing perhaps an interview with the host. And I thought, okay, well, this sounds pretty interesting. I need to get in contact with you. So I believe I reached out to you and maybe sent you an email or contacted you over social media to hear more about this product.
So it's obviously a new product. It doesn't look or feel like other things when you got it. What did you think?
I should mention I'm a triathlete, and we were talking before it started. Triathletes are naturally early adopters, and we like to try anything that would help us. So there, I actually didn't have very much skepticism. I'm like,
Yep.
well, what's the worst that's going to happen here, you know? And so I thought it was a modest amount of money to spend for a possible improvement. And as I say, if my day to day, if I'm not feeling good on myself day to day, it's really, you know, a modest amount
Yep.
of money to spend to try to help me feel better and help me get running again and help me kind of reach my goals.
Talk through the first experience of using it. What was that like for you?
I remember I remember I was waiting to get them in the mail. And they came because of course you're working against, at least in that situation, I was working against a deadline, which I'm sure a lot of people are. A lot of times when people are perhaps getting a shin splint, there's some sort of overload. And why is there some sort of overload? Well, they're probably training for a race. So I remember getting them in the mail and putting them on. I remember the instructions were to not wear them, certainly not wear them overnight, certainly not wear them too much, but they slipped right on pretty easily. And of course, you're kind of wondering how much tension should you put on it. And I put a kind of a modest amount of tension, and I could feel the device, the solution, kind of stretching the muscles around my tibia, and I could still walk around and kind of do normal things. And
Yep.
so it really was no interruption at all to kind of what I was doing day to day.
So you must have had a very niggly kind of, tibia, effectively. So the pain was quite sensitive to touch.
I think so. So, I mean, probably, I think when I say the stretching, I think I may have, well, I'm an engineer by background. So naturally, when I hear about a new product, I want to understand the mechanics
Yep.
behind it.
Yep.
Okay, if you could relieve the tension of some of the soft tissue around your tibia, you're going to reduce the stress that's happening on the
Yep.
tibia, and the soft tissue can take more of those muscles. And of course, when you take off the device, you typically have some marks on your skin, which again kind of reinforces this in your mind,
Yep.
this concept that you're stretching the soft tissue around the
Yep.
tibia.
How often did you end up wearing the solution, and then how long did it take for you to notice an effect?
Yeah, I mean, my recollection is I wore it every day. I wore it every day
Yep.
for the recommended amount of time. I think it was about an hour, and I I remember kind of within a couple of weeks starting to be able to ramp up that volume again and
Yep.
ramp up. Of course, my main focus was get the volume up and not worry about the intensity at this stage of the game, and
Yep.
I think Solution really helped me do that. It really helped
Yep.
me kind of overcome some of those challenges and take that load off the tibia and allow me to return to running.
If you were going to compare the treatments you were doing, how did the solution compare?
For me, the solution really, that's the thing to help me get
Yep.
over the edge where I really wasn't getting it through rest. And like you say, maybe if there wasn't such a deadline pending, maybe you just kind of wait it out. But I don't know very many runners that are serious about their sport, or triathletes that are serious about their sport, who are just going to like give up after a lot of training and say, you know, okay, well, wasn't in the cards, maybe next year. And I think that's what the device really helped me kind of get myself back on track. And of course, you never can recover and do all that training that you miss, but you just try to get to the starting line as best you can.
Now, Mark, there is a bit of a kind of elephant in the room. This deadline that you were chasing, right? So, what was this deadline, and then what was overcoming shin splints? What did that unlock for you?
Yeah, for me, it was a race. This deadline was a race. I was doing a full Ironman in Madison, Wisconsin, and I put a lot into this. And I was trying to qualify for the World Championships in Kona, in Hawaii. And in order to do that, you need to kind of be on the podium. You need to finish on the podium of your age group. So for me to show up for a race like that, the goal wasn't just about finishing because I had already finished one of these things before. The goal was to have a good performance and have a good result.
So your goal at this event was to qualify for Kona. Is that so?
Yes.
Were you able to achieve your goal?
Yes, yes. So so maybe just a little bit more of a backstory. You can never, as I said, you could never get back that training you've lost, and you just try to do the best you can and do what your body's able to do. And I was able to get to a long run up to 16 miles. So I did one 16-mile long run before the race, which is not ideal, but it gets you in the ball game. It gets you to the point where okay, you got a chance. And running is my strength, I should say, in triathlon. And so in the race, when I came off the bike, I had a lot of family members and my coach was there as well. And I was told, I've been fifth position. And at the time, there were very limited spots for Kona because of COVID. So at the time when the race was being run, there was only one spot in my age group. So I had to get to the front. And at the start of the run, I was 25 minutes behind the leader of the marathon. And I was able to kind of move up and quickly pass him at mile 18, I believe, of the marathon. And I ended up winning my age group, that is, by about 13 minutes. So obviously, I have great memories of that race, and I have great memories of Solution because that was a big part of getting me back to getting that to the point where I could get up to 16 miles and have a chance to perform well in the Ironman race in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I remember, Mark, when you told me you achieved that, and it was actually one of the first stories for us. So obviously our whole team is athletes. We had goals that we strive for. We had injuries that would impact it. And yeah, to be honest, hearing your story, I think the whole team was just blown away, right? So it's one of those stories where, you've got someone who's got a big goal, something they're striving for. No doubt you were striving to achieve that goal for some time, and it was your North Star and all your training. And when injuries stop you being able to achieve that, that's what we're really trying to solve here. So you telling us that story when you did, I think it was probably one of the highlights of the year for us as a team. It was just phenomenal.
I'm grateful that your product, I think, really helped me get back to running. And like I say, I think to run the marathon, you need, at least maybe it's just mentally, but you need some long runs. And I think just getting up to that 16-mile mark of my training, at least for one run. And of course, I had a lot of background in running before, so I think I had to do some withdrawals from the bank of that background, in addition to getting back to a decent long run before that really was able to get it done for me.
Have you ever recommended the Solution to any other of your peer athletes?
Yes, I have. I believe a couple of them have contacted you to be able to use the product. So it is something I recommend for Shin Splints. I think it's, as I say, it really worked out for me. I don't think I would have been able to get back to running as fast as I did without it, and wouldn't have been able to kind of achieve that goal. So I'm very, very grateful.
If you were to describe your experience with the Solution in one sentence, what would that be?
I would say that in one sentence, it accelerated my recovery. What it did is it doesn't, you're not going to put this on and be magically healed. It's not magic, but what it's going to do is it can accelerate your recovery. But just as an engineer myself, if you can take load off the tibia while you're in the running that you're doing, it just makes sense that it's gonna heal faster. And I think that's what Solution did for me.
Look, really appreciate you sharing your story and experience with us. And thank you for being such a big supporter. We watched your experience from the sidelines, and when you told us about you qualifying for Kona, I think there was a bit of fist pumps going around the office in excitement for you to be able to achieve that goal.
Thank you again for being a big part of that.
Mark's story is a perfect example of how the right approach to recovery can change everything. From struggling with shin splints to qualifying for the Kona World Championships, it's incredible to see what's possible when you get back on track. If you're struggling with shin splints and it's holding you back from running pain-free, the Solushin is the fastest way to recover, and you can do it without stopping all of your training. Unlike ice, compression sleeves, or generic stretching routines, the Solushin actively treats the root cause of shin splints with our patented, clinically backed counter-traction technology. Most users feel pain relief after the first use, and with consistent use, they get back to running 75 days quicker, or if you think of it this way, you're getting an extra 10 park runs in. That's 10 Saturday fun runs of pain-free running. And here's the best part. If you don't feel a significant difference within 30 days, we'll refund you, no questions asked. Just send the Solushin back. That's how confident we are that the Solushin will work for you. So, if you're ready to get back on track without wasting time on ineffective treatments, head to solushin.com, SOLUSHIN.com, and grab your solutions today. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with anyone who's battling shin splints and looking for a way to get back to pain-free running. And if you have your own story about getting back on track, we'd love to hear it. Drop a comment below or reach out to us at team@solushin.com. Thanks for watching The Road Back. We'll see you on the next episode.